Hi, my name is Natalie and welcome to my channel, and today I wanted to pop on and talk about my current knitting obsession, you could call it, which is all about Shetland knitting. You can see here I've got this on. This is knitted from the Shetland Trader Heritage issue. You may have seen the video I previously posted showing my knits from that pattern book, so you might want to check that out if this is the first time you're finding this video. And yeah, I've just recently been living and breathing Shetland knitting completely. I'm not sure kind of what's drawn me to it so much. I mean, I really got into Shetland knitting several years ago when I was knitting these patterns from the Shetland Trader Heritage issue book. I was by Gudrun Johnston. So I was enjoying working with or knitting with Shetland wool, which I'd on and off had knitted the odd thing, I think, prior to that in my knitting journey over the years. Yeah, I don't know, I've just recently got obsessed with fair roll predominantly. I've got really obsessed with fair roll knitting. And I'm not sure if it's because I've recently set up small flock yarns. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I've been really more obsessing over British wools a bit more. And obviously Shetland has such great heritage and history in their knitting, which I found fascinating to read about. And I don't know, I'm just thinking about it all the time, just fair roll knitting, Shetland knitting. If I find a book that I haven't seen before, oh, I must have it. It's just getting a bit, it's becoming a bit of an obsession now, completely, with me. It's just, so I thought I'd just show you a couple of the books that I've recently got that I'm really enjoying reading through, like obsessively, when I get time after work, in the evenings, and sometimes at the weekends. And some of these have been out for like several years, but it's just now sort of I've come across them more in this discovery journey of the Shetland way of knitting. So I recently came across this one by Kate Davis with photographs from Tom Barr. I got that from Loop Knitting, which is Shetland. And I've realised or found out from my research is the Shetland name for wool, I think. Correct me in the comments below if I'm slightly wrong, and you know, please understand I'm still at the beginning of my Shetland research journey here. So I think that's what that's sort of their term for wool. So Wool Textiles Work, and this is just such a beautiful book with lots of pictures and information on different people that are working on the islands, from knitters through to people who've got a tannery, the livestock marketing group, lots of things that involve people working on the Shetland Islands and in Shetland. So yeah, it's just really fascinating read, which I've now finished, that one. And I think this came out in like 2016, I think it was. And I love how it's got the lovely fair roll designs in there. So it's really, really, really sweet, lovely book. Oh, and a lovely sheet there. So cute, so cute. Yeah, so I think it was around 2016 this came out. But again, it's only one I've recently sort of come across now and I've been reading. My local shop, which I still need to film a shop visit there, Ida's House in Lewes, they had this book in stock, which I was super excited by. Mary Jane Muckleston is really well known in the fair roll sort of knitting world. She's released quite a few books, I think, on fair roll knitting and different things. I do have a few of her books. And if you'd like to see a video on my fair roll pattern books and potential fair roll like vintage patterns I've got, then please comment below and I will do a separate video on that for you. And this is just such a pretty book. She basically went up to fair roll and I think she finished this book up there, and it's just like, what a lovely thing to do. Just looks so lovely. And there's some lovely little patterns in here, but one I would like to knit that I've actually ordered the wool for is this Ferret here, which I just think is so beautiful. And really my colours, I mean, I'd wear that a lot in the winter. So I really enjoy reading about her being up in fair roll, and I found it really interesting. She's got a visiting fair roll page in the book here, which just says about where you can stay, how to get there, places to visit, which was just really lovely. It's just some really nice pictures in it. So if you're getting a fair old obsession like me, then, and you might already have this book, but if not, I would highly recommend it. It's such a pretty book, so lovely. I'm so glad my local yarn shop had it in, so I was able to instantly get that without having to, order online. So that was really, really good. So at this moment in time, I'm not massively exploring anything outside of the fair art, although I'm still slightly fascinated by it. So I did get a copy of Heirlooms Knitting Shetland Hap Shawls here, you can see. So I did get that because I was interested in the hap knitting technique and kind of how these are knitted. And actually I thought I might even be able to apply that to my own small flock yarns wool potentially and make a hap or knit a hap whenever I can find the time. So, but it just gives a little bit of history, like from sheep to shawl, the Shetland sheep. I think it's quite an old book that's been out for quite a few years. 2006 I think this was published, so but I managed to get a copy online, and I've been really finding it interesting just reading about the history and how it was the work in Ireland or work in Shetland with that and then making them. So it's not, like I said, not necessarily something I'm delving into right at this moment in time, but it's really interesting to have for my my craft book collection, my knitting book collection, and something I definitely will be referencing to at some point as well. And then I also came across the Shetland Wool Adventures. Now I think I've sort of seen them on and off over the years, but yeah, they had an offer on their website which was amazing. It was something like, it was on their Instagram, like 60% off their books at the moment. And again, I think these came out a few years ago. So of course I had to get volume 1 to 5, didn't I? I had to. I just had to buy them. So I'm now at the moment, this is my current read. I'm reading all these Shetland journal books, which are just beautiful. And they've got like food recipes in them, knitting patterns. They're great, and then tell you a bit about the islands. So I am loving that so much. And it's actually made me want to go on one of the Shetland Wool Adventures. So Misa Hayes, the editor of these books, and has the Shetland Wool Adventures website, actually has Shetland Wool holidays for like 8 days, I think. For anyone watching this now, maybe you've been on one, and please comment below to tell me your experiences, because I'm sure it was amazing. It just looks like my dream holiday. And I saw for next year it's like fully booked. I did inquire and they're like, yeah, no, there was already a waiting list as well. I was like, the things you would do, the knitters you would sit with in workshops and places you would visit, it just looked like, in my fair old obsession, it just looked, and Shetland Wool Obsession, it just looked like heaven to me. So now I'm like, the wheels are turning, like how can I get there? And how can I save for it? So they haven't released their 2027 dates yet, and at this moment in time I'm not sure whether I can financially afford to go or not anyway. So, but maybe in a year or two it might be something I can save up towards to finally do. I've never been to the Shetland Isles. I think the furthest I've ever been in Scotland is probably Glasgow, I think. I don't think I've ever gone any further than that. So it would just be amazing to do that trip. It on their website just looks like my dream holiday. So yeah, maybe one day I will get to do that. And obviously Shetland Wool Week is on as we speak of me filming this as well this year, and that looks like another amazing thing to do as well. But my concern with that is trying to get accommodation. I can imagine it's packed up a long time in advance, and I don't know how that would work as well for me getting. The thing is, I don't really know anyone locally that travels regularly to these things every year, which might be a good thing if I did. If you are local and you go and you know a group that travel on it and and would like some additional visitors to go with them, or the opportunity, please let me know, because I'd be really interested. Thank you. If you are local to sort of the Sussex area, or you know of someone that arranges these visits within the southeast, then yeah, please let me know, including the transportation, you know, getting up there. And there's like someone that organises that, and you obviously pay like a deposit and then X amount over a certain amount of time. And yeah, please let me know. I would love to know if there is anybody doing that. I did have a quick look online, but I couldn't really see anyone massively sort of doing that. The closest I came to obviously was this that I found with all the pre-planned holiday, which, like I said, just looked amazing. And then in my local cook shop, so where I live, there is a cookbook shop opposite, just down the road from where I am, and it just specialises in selling cookbooks, and it's an amazing shop. They have guest speakers on their cooking, so people that have released cookbooks come for the evening and they talk about their latest cookbook, and they cook sample dishes. And me and my husband are really into our food, and we love cooking, so we really enjoy that, and getting these new cookbooks and learning about different cuisines. And it's like £5 a ticket, and you get a drink, you know, complimentary drink with that, and free samples of the food. And the money your ticket costs, they deduct that from buying the book purchase, which is, it's just such good value for money. And you know, every month they normally have some guest cook speaker at the shop, so I try and get on as many of those as I can with my husband, and it's just such a great few hours. We really enjoy those, and I've put a link in the description below to the cookbook bake shop in case there's anyone locally who hasn't heard about it that might be interested in it. So if you follow them, they'll post their events as and when they come up, and they're available, which is good. So a couple of weeks ago there was a lady in talking about simply Malaysian cooking, and I've been to Kuala Lumpur, and it was very fascinating, and I found it really interesting. And the recipes were so easy on there. But whilst I was there at that event, this book just stuck out a mile off to me. That was just on the side of the shelves where I was sitting, and it was this one. It just said Shetland on it. I was like, oh, what's that? Like, there's a Shetland book there. Obviously I knew it'd be food related, but I was like, oh, and I kept staring at it. And when the event had finished, I just made a complete run over to the bookshelf and got the Shetland book. I was like, what is it? And it's Shetland Cooking on the Edge of the World. So of course I couldn't resist, and I love supporting local shops anyway as much as I can, so I had to get this book. I was like, yeah, I've got to get it. And my husband had a look through it as well when we were there, and he said, oh, there's some amazing recipes he'd like to cook himself on them. So he was like, yeah, definitely we need to get this book. And then it's got a lovely sheep here as well. It just says on the back here, Shetland is where Scotland meets Scandinavia and the North Sea hits the Atlantic Ocean. Isolated, unspoilt and rich in history and tradition, Shetland is a truly singular place, and for James and Tom Morton it's home. And it explores life on the island with food, drink and community at its heart. Surrounded by crystal clear waters, Shetland seafood is second to none. The native sheep roam freely. Here cooks, farmers, crofters and fishermen toil following traditions that go back hundreds of years. So yeah, it's a really pretty book. I'm still making my way through it at the moment. I've got a bit of reading still to do on this one, and I will be cooking some things from it soon. There's loads of lovely seafood dishes, and being on the seafront here, we have some amazing fishmongers, so I walk opposite and I can get fresh fish that have literally, some of it just been catched, within that day or last couple of days. It's great, and I love seafood, so it's so nice to have that fresh and local to me on the beach here. So that's really good in Brighton. So yes, I'm going to be looking forward to cooking some things from this book and reading more about the life on the island in this too. And lastly, before I wrap up this video, I've obviously been knitting a fair bit with Jamieson's wool, the Spindrift, and the 2-ply Jamieson's and Sons wools as well, which I've knitted with some of these designs. So I've still been knitting. I'm currently working on the Vare sweater that will be in another video, which is from the Shetland Trader book. So I look forward to sharing that with you when it's finished. But also on this knitting journey, I also obviously saw in the research and that there's a Shetland way of knitting too, which isn't necessarily how, you know, it's not the same way as circular knitting and knitting in the round to how I've learned and know how to knit. I mean, my nan and auntie never taught me circular knitting. That was something I learnt later when I was doing my knitwear design qualification. I learnt how to do circular knitting because I found for designing it was good to have it sitting in your lap and seeing how it was forming and looking for the design when I was knitting the samples. So that was always really good. And I've done a lot of circular knitting over the years, included in my own knitting patterns. If you purchased any, you'll see some circular knitting designs that I've done. But obviously they have the Shetland Belt with the double pointed needles. Now I don't tend to use double pointed needles that often. I find them, I always think they look a bit like medieval, the way they all stick out, and I've never got on with the four needles or 3 needle sock knitting with double pointed needles. That's never, there were patterns where it used to be divided by 3, I think, or over 4, or something like that, the stitches. And it never really worked in my head. I've always divided by 2. So the magic loop in circular knitting always worked really well for me. And the way my brain works, we're just divisible by 2 all the time, in half. So that's always worked well. But I've been fascinated by these Shetland knitting belts and these double pointed needles. So I actually got some steel needles, which I thought would be really interesting to try. I've put a link in the description below to where I got them from. And I've just got all the sizes, like the 275, 3mm and 325 sizes that would work for Shetland wool, like almost like the 4-ply sort of gauge for those. So I got those, and I also bought a Shetland knitting belt because, you know, if you're going to do it, let's try the full techniques. Why not? So, I thought that would be interesting to try. It's something I've always seen of over the years again, and thought, well, that'd be interesting, you know, if I ever get there, maybe, you know. And I've never obviously got to Shetland at any point, so I thought, well, why don't I just try now? And so this is by Lisa's Leatherworks, which is handcrafted in Scotland, and I ended up picking this one because they did this nice purple colour, as you can see here. So the nice belt, and they did them in different sizes, so I was able to get one for my waist size that I think will work well. So I'll be honest, I've been a bit, I don't know if scared's the right word, but because I've never knitted with a knitting belt before, whilst there is some information on some websites, I was a bit confused about how it works. And I came across this online course with a traditional Shetland knitter called Jeanette Budge. So I came across an online knitting course showing you how to work and knit with a Shetland belt with a lady called Jeanette, who's I think a Shetland knitwear designer up in the Shetlands. So I've put a link in the description below for where you can get this particular knitting belt from, and also the online course that I'm going to follow and do to knit with this as well. I will potentially do another video just showing you not how to knit with it, because I don't feel I really know. Learn from a professional that's done it for a long time. So I highly recommend the online video content that I'm currently watching. So again, on that link, if you're going to learn it, I definitely would recommend using that. But I can at least show you what I'm knitting on it and how I'm finding it and give you my views on it, because I'm sure it'll take some adapting. It might be something I end up really loving, and that's all I use for my circular knitting. Obviously it's like over 3 needles. Again, for travelling, I'm not sure this would be a good option because of these long needles pointing out everywhere, and also packing them. The circular knitting obviously just folds and goes in, and it's quite easy to transport. So, but I thought maybe there's a project I'll do at home and see how I get along with that too. So that's quite exciting. So yes, this is my current obsession with knitting. I'm not sure if it's going to be a long obsession or if it's going to just be for several months. I really don't know. I mean, I've always said I'm a bit of an all-rounder knitter really with what I knit. I've always done different wool types, different techniques. I don't predominantly design and knit from the top down so much, but you know, with regards to the style of knitting, I do lace every now and again, not too much. It's not really my field of knitting so much, but I can knit lace, and I have designed lace pieces in the past. But I do love colour work, and I do like textured stitches like you would have seen if you watched my Gansey sweater design. So I like lots of different things, but I am very drawn to the fair old style at the moment, and the colour work and all the colours you can create. I do love colour. So expect some more videos from me that are sort of fair owl related or knitting related with Shetland wools. There will be some more, I think, of projects I will be working on that will involve those, and I've got some other exciting developments in the world of fair owl knitting that I look forward to revealing soon with the knitting. So if you currently don't subscribe to my channel and you'd like to see what else I'm going to be doing, then please feel free to click on the button below and subscribe to my channel. And once again, thank you for watching.